Back on the Retirement Chef, whipping up wealth with Brian Butler, CEO and Senior Wealth Advisor with Wealth Standard Financial. I'm Kevin McAlpin. Thanks for joining us here on the show. And of course, that number to reach Brian and his team today is 832-957-9008. 832-957-9008. Online, it's wealthstandardfinancial.com. Well, Brian, you and I are sports guys. We already talked a little college football. We know NCAA tournaments now right around the corner, and Astro baseball not too far off. Spring training is well underway. While parts of the country might not believe it, spring is not that far down the road, is it?
No, I'm excited for it. I'm a huge Astros fan, always have been since I was little. And spring is definitely here in Houston. It's 75 degrees today, so we're enjoying it, getting outside. I know people in the Midwest and up north is still in the 20s and 30s some days, but we're enjoying the early spring here.
I'm a sucker for it. Every year I start looking to spring training and I start looking at stats. Friendly warning for those who put a lot of stock into spring training stats. Don't, because they don't mean anything. I have watched guys go down to spring training and hit 600 and go, wow, well, look at this guy. And then he lasts about 2 weeks in the big league. So just a fair warning for all the Astro fans out there. If your favorite player is not putting up the numbers you want, or maybe they're exceeding your expectations, just temper things a little bit. But the reason I bring up baseball, Brian, is that for nearly 50 years, the New York Yankees have banned their players from having beards. This goes way back to the 70s with George Steinbrenner, but recently the team is reversing its course. Yankees chairman Hal Steinbrenner says players can now sport well-groomed beards. Give us a listen.
Our new vice president has a beard. Members of Congress have a beard. The list goes on and on and on. It is a part of who these younger men are. It's a part of their character. It's a part of their persona. I did make the decision that the policy that was in place was outdated and somewhat unreasonable.
I got to be honest with you. Listening to that cadence of how he talks, I hear a little George Steinbrenner in his voice, don't you?
Absolutely. I just hear the character from Seinfeld with Steinbrenner when I heard him talking just now.
Larry David did such a great job with that, didn't he?
Genius.
I'm glad I found another Seinfeld fan because, man, that was one of my all-time go-to shows. If it's on, I'll binge watch Seinfeld. I could watch 3 seasons straight through. I don't know about you.
So I'm sure you watch Curb.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Curb is crazy.
My wife is a big fan. We watch that. We watch Seinfeld. Not as much into the Friends as she is, but I digress for those folks out there who are. But the reason I bring up the story about the Yankees being allowed to have beards now, Brian, is retirement financial strategies can also evolve, much like the Yankees policy did. So if you had to sort of look through some old, outdated strategies, what were some of those things that would be top of mind for you?
Well, one many people hear all the time is the 4% rule. You can take 4% of your portfolio and it should sustain you through retirement. Now, that rule is, cookie cutter, which retirement is not cookie cutter. Tax rates change, inflation, risk, healthcare costs have jumped significantly since that study was done. I think the study was done in the late 80s. And who used the internet in the late 80s? Nobody.
Nobody.
Who uses the internet today? Everybody. And so things have changed and can be outdated, but some of the principles are still there. What's going to be a sustainable option for you to withdraw from your portfolio in retirement? The thing is, it's a dynamic number. It's going to change because tax rates are going to change, administrations are going to change, the market's going to change. So how do we give you a sustainable number that you can withdraw? Now, it may be 4%. It may be less than that, depending on the risk that you can take. And it may be higher than that, depending on your portfolio size. What can your portfolio sustain with the right product mix, whether that be stocks, bonds, Social Security, annuities? When you mix the total amounts of the investment choices that you have, that's where the recipe comes in. What makes sense for this particular recipe? Just like when I'm cooking. So one recipe may call for a cup of tomatoes and another one may call for 4 cups. Depending on what we're making, it makes a huge difference. And just like your retirement, if you need 80% stocks to maintain your lifestyle and you're comfortable with it, great. But if you only can sustain 30%, and you want 30% in an annuity, 30% in alternative investments, whatever your mix is, there's no right or wrong mix. It's just a mix that makes sense for you. And so the 4% rule is one of those outdated rules that we try to take into account and show you mathematically what the right number is for you. You know, another one is that we hear all the time is the age of 100 minus your age. So 100 minus your age. So if you're 70, well, 30% of your funds should be in stocks and 70% should be in bonds. That's a cookie cutter number. I literally have a 78-year-old who his risk number is extremely high. It's in the 80s. He likes the stock market. He has enough income. His income is guaranteed. He's one of those amazing people that worked for a company that gave him a pension. So he has a pension. His wife has a pension from the same company. They have Social Security. They have annuity income. And out of all of those things that are guaranteed, everything else is play money. And so they have their paychecks. That's what I call them. Their paychecks from those guaranteed sources. And then their play money comes from the stock market. If the stock market's killing it, guess what? They're going to go on a around the world cruise. If it's just doing okay, well, they're just going to give a little money, take little shorter trips here and there. If it's doing bad, well, they'll just put things on hold for a little while. And so that gives them comfort and gives him the piece that he knows I'm playing in the stock market. And so if I put him in a portfolio that only had 30% stocks and 70% bonds, he would be miserable. Yeah. It wouldn't give him what he was looking for. He'd be upset about the returns. And so that's why that's outdated. It's not cookie cutter. You have to build portfolios to the individual. And sometimes the couple, the husband may be super conservative and the wife super aggressive and vice versa. I've seen it both ways. So trying not to make assumptions when it comes to retirement, using some of these old rules, use them as a guideline, but have the conversation, and the conversation will dictate what that portfolio should look like.
I think a big part of that too, right, Brian? Folks might say, well, when I retire, I want to travel. Well, that might mean Hawaii or Alaska to some. It might mean Portugal and Europe and Asia. Like it might, what I'm getting at is folks are going to say, I want to travel, right? But defining what that means, that affects a lot of what they have to plan for when it comes to retirement as well.
Absolutely. So if you want to travel up and down Europe multiple times a year, that's going to have a significant cost difference than traveling to Cabo or to Cancun over and over. Yeah. And so building that out when you plan for the retirement plan. So many times advisors, and this is what I've seen and what I had to learn as an advisor, was when I'm planning for somebody's retirement and they say, oh, I'll spend about $15,000 a year on travel. And then I start asking them, well, where do you want to go? And they say, I want to go to Asia. I want to go to Europe. I want to go to Australia. And I go, oh, you're going to spend way more than $15,000. And then let's build the trip. Yeah. I enjoy it selfishly. I enjoy living through my clients as they build these trips because I start getting pointers. And so we start building out the trips. All of a sudden that 15,000 turned to 80. All right. and then you start building that into the plan and making some decisions. Then they start to go, you know what? I'm fine with that. I'll spend the 80, or I'm not fine with that. I only want to spend 30. So that means we only can go these places, or adjust the type of trip that you're taking. And so defining what that looks like is huge. And it's not just a blanket number. Yeah. Going on that Alaska cruise like my parents did years ago is a whole lot different than going on that safari in South Africa. I mean, it's just a whole nother ballgame, which is why it's important, because I do think, Brian, folks will sit down, they'll say, well, I can handle this. I can budget this all out. But these numbers, they jump up in a hurry. And like we've talked about, the older you get, the more you have to plan for, whether it's, long-term health care or added just healthcare costs in general. That can take a big chunk out of someone's plan if they don't do it right, can it? It definitely can. So depending on what you're trying to do, so whether it be the travel piece, because think of it, if you go from 15,000 to 80,000 on travel, that's going to increase your taxable income, which could potentially put you in another tax bracket, which could potentially cause your Social Security to be taxed. There's a domino effect that could happen. If you have a healthcare issue, okay, are you going to pay it out of pocket? A lot of people call that self-insuring. I don't think paying out of pocket is self-insuring. It's self-paying.
Right.
Insurance is a transfer of risk. So you're taking all the risk. If I could take a small percentage and transfer my health and longevity to a third party like an insurance company, all of a sudden I took a small percentage and I get a big benefit. So when you're building this out from an income standpoint, using the different tools that are out there, the long-term care insurance, it's an outdated thing. Many people think long-term care 25 years ago is the same as long-term care today. It's a completely different animal. And when we take the time to explain the mechanics of it, people are like, oh, all the things that I thought about it and didn't think it could be part of my plan, well, you just blew all of that out of the water. How does this work and how will that fit into the plan? And so when we break it down, show them mathematically what it looks like, you'd be surprised how many things that are on the table based on outdated thinking. And so if we can bring you to modern times today, that outdated thinking will go away. And it just brings me back full circle. When we were talking about the internet and how people with email addresses and everybody was like, I don't want an email address. I'll never use an email address. What is that? Fast forward 10 years, everybody had an email address.
Everybody.
And so think if you retired in 1995, you probably didn't use the internet at all. But 2005, you probably used it all the time. Mm-hmm. Things change and your retirement is the same. So what's going on today with AI and ChatGPT and the things we have available now are going to be completely different 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And it's just part of the evolution of retirement, the evolution of man.
Yeah, no doubt about it. If you feel like you're sitting on some outdated financial strategies when it comes to your retirement plan, you want to call Brian Butler and the team at Wealth Standard Financial. They are here for you. That number again is 832-957-9008. 832-957-9008, or you can visit them on the aforementioned internet at wealthstandardfinancial.com. That's wealthstandardfinancial.com. Brian, got about a minute left in the show, and like we do each and every week, floor is all yours, sir, for the final word.
Well, today was a great show, Kevin. I really enjoyed some of the topics that we were mentioning. And I think if you need a partner in your financial plan, your retirement plan, that's looking out for you, that wants to do and build and design a plan for you, your family, the organizations that you care about, that's us. WealthFlow 360 is the tool that we use to help people make it approachable, make it accessible from a financial planning standpoint. And we at Wealth Standard Financial look forward to helping you, and we can't wait. So make sure you give us a call and check out our website. It has a lot of great details that can help you through your retirement. And if you have a friend or a family member that's gearing up to retire, send them the show, send them to our website, and we'll give them a free one-to-one consultation and look forward to helping you.
The opinions voiced in The Retirement Chef, Whipping Up Wealth with Brian Butler, are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. No strategy assures success or protects against loss. To determine what may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial, or tax advisor prior to investing. Guests on The Retirement Chef, Whipping Up Wealth are not affiliated with CWM LLC. Investment advisory services offered through CWM LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.